Number 8. Okunoshima, the Island of Contrasts. If you visit Okunoshima, a small island in Japan's inland sea, you'll be greeted by hundreds of friendly rabbits. They'll come to you for food and cuddles, and you'll feel like you're in a fairy tale. But this island is not all sunshine and rainbows. It also has a dark and tragic history, one that involves secret weapons of mass destruction and thousands of innocent lives lost. During World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army built a poison gas factory on Okunoshima, producing thousands of tons of mustard gas, phosgene, and other lethal chemicals. The factory was so secret that the island was removed from all maps and the workers were sworn to secrecy. The poison gas was used against Chinese soldiers and civilians in the war in China, killing about 80,000 people by some estimates. The factory was closed after the war and the Americans destroyed most of the poison gas and equipment. However, some remnants of the factory still remain on the island, such as abandoned buildings, power plants, and storage facilities. There is also a museum that shows the history of poison gas production and its victims. But how did the rabbits get there? Some people think that they were descendants of the rabbits that were used to test the poison gas during the war. However, most experts disagree with this idea, saying that the original rabbits were all killed by the Americans. Instead, they believe that the rabbits came from a group of 8 bunnies that were released by some school kids in 1971. With no predators or hunting on the island, the rabbits multiplied quickly and became a tourist attraction. Today, Okunoshima is an island of contrasts, where cute bunnies live with a grim past. It is an island where visitors can enjoy nature and wildlife, but also learn about the horrors of war and chemical weapons. It is an island where life and death are intertwined. Number 7. La Merced. La Merced is a 4-masted vessel that was built in 1917. It served as an auxiliary schooner during World War I, a lumber and oil trader, and a floating cannery in Alaska. The ship was salvaged in 1965 and moved to Lovrick's shipyard in Anticorts, Washington, where it was stripped of its mast, propellers, engines, and deck fittings. The owner of the shipyard, Anton Lovrick, had the creative idea to use the ship as a breakwater to protect the marina from waves and storms. He filled the hull with sand and rocks and placed it in position in 1966. Since then, La Merced has been overtaken by nature, as trees have grown from the sand-filled hull and on the deck. The ship is now a forested island that contrasts with the surrounding water and boats. The trees are mostly alders, maples, and cottonwoods, and they provide habitats for birds, squirrels, and insects. The ship also attracts photographers and tourists who are fascinated by the sight of a historic vessel reclaimed by nature. La Merced was one of the few remaining 4-masted schooners in the world, and it was placed on the National Historic Register in 1990. The ship is a testament to the maritime history and culture of the region, as well as the ingenuity and resourcefulness of its owner. La Merced is also a reminder of how nature can transform human-made objects over time, creating forms of beauty and wonder. Number 6. Prohm. Prohm is one of the most famous and atmospheric temples in the Angkor region of Cambodia. Built in the late 12th and early 13th centuries by King Jayavarman VII, it was originally built as a Buddhist monastery and center of learning dedicated to his mother. The temple was home to more than 12,500 people, including priests, dancers, and workers. Unlike most of the other temples in Angkor, Prohm was left largely untouched by the restoration efforts of the 20th century. As a result, it has been swallowed by the jungle, with trees growing out of the ruins and roots wrapping around the walls and towers. The temple looks very much the way it did when European explorers first discovered it in the 19th century. Prohm is a temple of mystery and beauty, where nature and human artistry blend together in a harmonious and haunting way. The temple has a maze-like layout with courtyards, corridors, and galleries that are often blocked by piles of stones or roots. The bas-reliefs on the walls depict scenes from Buddhist mythology and history, as well as everyday life in ancient Cambodia. Some of the most iconic images of Prohm are the giant trees that dominate the temple. The silk cotton trees and strangler figs have grown over and through the structures, creating a surreal and stunning sight. Some of the trees have been removed to prevent further damage to the temple, but many remain as a testament to the power and resilience of nature. Prohm is a popular destination for tourists and filmmakers alike. It was featured in the 2001 movie Lara Croft: Tomb Raider starring Angela Jolie. The temple is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, along with the other monuments of Angkor. Prohm is a must-see for anyone who wants to experience the magic and mystery of Cambodia's ancient past. Number 5. Villa Epecuen. Villa Epecuen was a tourist village in Argentina that was famous for its salt lake with healing properties. The lake was so salty that it was second only to the Dead Sea in salt content. People suffering from various ailments came to soak in its waters and enjoy the resort town that had hotels, spas, restaurants, and shops. The village was founded in the 1920s and it reached its peak of popularity in the 1950s and 1970s, when it could accommodate up to 5,000 visitors at a time. It was accessible from Buenos Aires by train and had 2 railway stations. However, in 1985, a rare weather pattern caused a seiche, or a standing wave in the lake, which broke a nearby dam and dike that protected the village. The water gradually rose but relentlessly until it submerged the entire village under more than 33 feet of salt water. The villagers had to evacuate and leave behind their homes and businesses. The village remained underwater for 25 years until 2009, when the water level started to drop due to drier weather. Today, Villa Epecuen is a ghost town that has been reclaimed by nature. The salt water has left a white and gray layer over the ruins of the buildings, which have been corroded and decayed by the harsh environment. The trees have died and become bare skeletons. The streets are covered with mud and debris. Only one resident, Pablo Novak, who was born in 1930, returned to his home in 2009 and lives there alone. Villa Epecuen has become a tourist attraction again, but for a different reason. It is a place of haunting beauty and mystery, where nature has shown its power to erase human civilization. Have you or would you like to visit Villa Epecuen? Let us know in the comments and hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 4. SS Airfield. If you visit Homebush Bay, a suburb of Sydney, Australia, you might be surprised to see a shipwreck covered with lush greenery floating in the water. This is the SS Airfield, a century-old freighter that has become a natural wonder and a popular attraction for locals and tourists alike. The SS Airfield, a steam collier, was built in the UK in 1911 and registered there in 1912. It was used to transport coal, oil, and water supplies during World War II. In 1972, it was retired and sent to Homebush Bay, which was then a shipbreaking yard. However, for some unknown reason, the SS Airfield and 3 other ships were never dismantled and were left to rust in the bay. Over time, nature took over the abandoned vessel and transformed it into a floating forest. The hull of the ship became a fertile ground for mangrove trees, which sprouted from the cracks and crevices in the middle. The branches of the trees spilled over the sides of the ship, creating a striking contrast between the rusted steel and the vibrant green. The SS Airfield is now one of the most remarkable sights in Homebush Bay, which was once a polluted industrial area but has since been redeveloped into a residential and commercial district after hosting the 2000 Olympic Games. The shipwreck is also a testament to the resilience of nature and its ability to reclaim what humans have abandoned. The SS Airfield is also known as the Floating Forest, a fitting name for this unique fusion of man-made and nature elements. The SS Airfield can be seen from land or from a boat. It is especially beautiful at sunset when the lights reflect off the water and the foliage. Many photographers and visitors flock to Homebush Bay to capture this amazing sight. The SS Airfield is not only a historical relic, but also a living art piece that inspires awe and wonder. Number 3. The Lost City of Petra. Petra is a prehistoric city carved into the sandstone cliffs of southwest Jordan by the Nabatean people, who ruled a trading empire between 400 BC and AD 106. Petra was hidden from the Western world for hundreds of years, until it was rediscovered by a Swiss explorer in 1812. Petra is one of the 7 wonders of the modern world and a World Heritage Site, known for its stunning architecture and cultural heritage. Petra is also linked to Arab tradition as the place where Moses struck a rock and water came forth and where his sister Miriam is buried. One of the most striking features of Petra is how it was taken over by nature after its decline and abandonment. The Wadi Ems, the Valley of Moses, which supplied the residents with water and irrigation, cut the city's terrace from east to west where it was established. However, changing trade routes and frequent earthquakes caused Petra to lose its economic and political importance, and by the 7th century AD, it was largely deserted. The sandstone cliffs that once protected the city from invaders also concealed it from sight, and the elements gradually eroded and weathered the buildings and monuments. The colors of the rocks changed from a vibrant red, white, pink, and sandstone to pale yellow and brown, blending in with the desert landscape. Today, Petra is a popular tourist destination that attracts visitors from all over the world. They can explore the ancient city by walking through a narrow gorge called the Seek, which leads to the majestic treasury, a temple carved into the rock face. They can also see other remarkable structures such as tombs, temples, churches, palaces, and an amphitheater that testified to the rich history and culture of Petra. However, they can also witness how nature has reclaimed its territory as plants, animals, and insects have made their homes among the ruins. Some of the buildings are covered with vines, mosses, and flowers, while others are inhabited by birds, bats, lizards, and spiders. The contrast between human-made and natural elements creates a unique and fascinating sight that inspires awe and wonder. Number 2. The green ghost town of Houtouwan. Imagine a village where the houses are draped in green curtains of plants. The streets are silent except for the sounds of birds and insects, and the only visitors are curious explorers and photographers. This is Houtouwan, a village on Xingshan Island in the East China Sea that was once home to more than 2,000 fishermen and their families. Houtouwan was a prospering fishing village in the 1980s, but it faced many difficulties in the 1990s. The fish stocks dwindled, the transportation became inconvenient, and the living conditions became poor. The villagers had no access to education, healthcare, or other services. They decided to leave their homes and move to other places where they could find better opportunities and a better quality of life. By the early 2000s, Houtouwan was almost completely abandoned. But nature did not forget Houtouwan. It embraced the empty village and turned it into a green paradise. Plants grew over the buildings, windows, and doors, creating a natural camouflage and stunning scenery. Animals returned to the village and made it their habitat. Houtouwan became a hidden treasure for those who wanted to witness its surreal beauty and learn about its fascinating history. Houtouwan is a unique example of how nature can reclaim human spaces and create its own harmony. It's also a reflection of the challenges and changes that rural communities face in the modern world. Houtouwan is not just a village, but also a story of adaptation and transformation. And at number 1, France's secret car graveyard. Somewhere in a tiny village in France, there is a hidden treasure for car enthusiasts. A secret junkyard with over 500 cars from the 1920s and 1930s. Some of them are rare and valuable models. The exact location of this car graveyard is a mystery, and only a few people know how to find it. The owner of the land does not allow visitors or photographers and has refused to sell any of the cars. The origin of this car collection is also unknown, but some speculate that it belonged to a wealthy businessman who had a passion for vintage cars. He bought them from all over Europe and stored them on his property, hoping to restore them someday. However, he died before he could fulfill his dream, and his heirs did not share in his interests. They left the cars to rot on the land, exposed to the elements and the passage of time. Over the decades, nature has reclaimed its territory, and the cars have become part of the landscape. They are covered in vines, mosses, and flowers, creating a striking contrast with the metal and glass. Some of them are barely recognizable, while others still retain some of their original charm and elegance. They're like frozen sculptures that evoke nostalgia and curiosity. The secret junkyard in France is a unique and fascinating place that attracts the attention of car lovers and adventurers. However, it is also a place of decay and neglect, where history and beauty are slowly fading away. It's a reminder of how nature can transform human objects over time, creating new forms of art and wonder. Thanks for watching. Which one of these places would you like to visit the most? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.